Hello and welcome to White Glove Reviews, and welcome to the next video in my series of getting started into Splinterlands. Now, what I wanted to do in this video is I wanted to talk more about renting cards for playing in leagues and also for basically maximizing your rental potential. Now, one thing that is critically important, and let me go over to the market and I want to show you what I'm talking about. When you're building a deck and you're going to play the game and you're playing in leagues, one thing that you have to be very aware of is you have to be aware of your summoner levels. And let me show you what I'm talking about. If you go to the card, if you go to one of the summoner cards and you go over here to stats, if you look at the bottom, you see you have like the level of the summoner, and then this shows the level of commons, rares, epics, and legendaries that you can play on the team led by the summoner. So for example, a level 1 summoner, you can just play level 1s for all the cards. A level 2 summoner, you can play level 3 commons, level 2 rares, level 2 epics, and level 1 legendaries. Now, level 2 is the maximum level you can play at Bronze League. And let me show you that real quick. So if you go over to here and you go to leagues and you click on the league in question, you see it has summoner limits, and you can play a level 3 summoner, a level 3 common summoner, a level 2 rare, level 2 epic, level 1 legendary. And so that determines the level of summoner you can play, and the summoner determines the level of monster you can play. Now, as you go up in levels, if you go up in leagues, like for example for silver, you can play a rare level 4 summoner, which is really important, and that's what we're going to target today with our rental strategy. Is we're going to target renting basically a top level silver deck. So like in this case, I'm going to go with Oster Rotwell as my summoner. So as you can see, I'm going to rent a level 4 Oster Rotwell, and so this will let me rent level 5 commons. Let me rent and play level 5 commons, level 4 rares, 3 epics, and level 2 legendaries. And I want to illustrate also the difference in power level. Let's just pick a random death card that's relatively a common one. Like let's go with the Twisted Gesture. The Twisted Gesture is a pretty common one. So a level 1 Twisted Gesture, if you look at the stats, has 2 ranged attack, 3 speed, no armor, 4 life, or 4 health, whatever you want to call it, and the snipe ability. But a leveled up Jester, like a level 4 Jester, which we'd be able to play in silver with our level 4 summoner, has 3 attack, 4 speed, 5 health, like that. And it might not seem like an enormous difference, but it really is. Like that extra life and that extra damage make a huge difference. And the speed actually helps too. And so when you're building your deck and you're renting your cards, what you want to do is you want to be keenly aware of card level, because higher level cards are better. And generally, for whatever league you're playing in, if it's at all possible, you want to rent and play the maximum level you can take advantage of for that league. And it will help immensely during your play. Now, for the purposes of renting cards, if you want, you can rent them through the in-game interface. And in this case, you just go to For Rent, and you look for the Twisted Gesture you want to rent. But this is not the most user-friendly and easy-to-use method for doing it. And what I would recommend is using a site like Peak Monsters. And if you go to the market, there's a link, I think. Yeah, there's a link right here for Peak Monsters if you want to do that. But you can also just go to the Peak Monsters website, and what you're going to need to do is for Peak Monsters, basically just sign up, set up an account, and that kind of thing. And then once you do that, you go to Peak Monsters and you go to Market. And then what we want to do is we want to rent our cards. And in this case, we want to rent an Oster Rotwell. So OST, here we go, Oster Rotwell. Now, In this case, we're looking for a level 4 Oster Rotwell, and currently there actually don't seem to be any for rent. Huh, that's kind of surprising. Okay, here we go. So here we have some level 4 Oster Rotwells. So we want our level 4, we want to rent a level 4 Oster Rotwell, and as you can see, they're a little expensive. Like for example, here, if you look at this one in question, the one I have highlighted, it's 51 DEC to rent it for a day. And if you look underneath it in parentheses, it tells you what the collection power to DEC ratio is. So in this case, it's 19 collection power to 1 DEC. So that's, you kind of want to, if it's at all possible, you want to keep it like in the, like as close to 100 as possible, 100 or higher. But one thing, if you look down here, here's the level 4 gold Oster Rotwell. And in this case, it costs 100 DEC to rent, which is about $1. But the collection power ratio is 100 to 1. And so when you're renting, always check around and see if there's, like, see if the gold card is a better ratio of DEC to collection power. Because we need to get up to 15,000 collection power regardless in order to play in Silver League. And so you're going to need to rent that much anyway. And if you can kind of like maximize your rental potential by renting cards that you're actually going to play that help get you over that, then it's better use of your DEC. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to subject you to the actual me going through and picking all the cards and renting them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rent all the cards for a death deck that I want to play in silver, and then we'll pick back up and I'll talk a little bit about the deck and the strategy and, you know, the cost and that kind of thing. So I'm going to pause it here and we'll pick back up in just a minute. Okay. After a bit of time browsing and, you know, renting and whatnot, I managed to rent what I think is probably going to be not too awful of a team. So if you look here, my team basically starts right here. And you can check out the amounts and the levels and everything. Now, just based upon quick numbers, I started with 1,000 DEC before I did this, and I have 471 DEC. So it cost me 529 DEC. Now, if you go over to Splinterlands, and let's refresh the page, and so you'll get to see that for about 520, well, for 529 DEC, I got 56,000 collection power. And so that's a little bit over 100 to 1, and 100 collection power for 1 DEC, which is not wonderful, but with rental prices as they've been lately, it's actually not too terrible. Now, let me show you what all I rented card-wise. So, rented to me and gold. So one thing I did when I was renting, and this is something to consider, is if cards were of similar price, or if the cards were a really good deal, like collection power to DEC ratio, I prioritized gold cards and I prioritized alpha cards over other cards. And the reason I did this was, if you play a gold card or an alpha card in your team, for each one of those you play, you get a 10% bonus to the DEC you earn at the end of the battle, assuming you win, of course. So, like each alpha card is basically equivalent to a gold card for the purposes of the bonus. So I have a decent number of gold and alpha cards that I can use. Now, the other thing is, I rented a chicken. I rented a Furious chicken. In this case, I rented a level 3 chicken, which gives it an attack, basically. And I rented a level 4 sandworm. I think it's probably a good idea just to generally have a sandworm and have a chicken available on your account. The chicken, it's 0 mana, so it doesn't cost you anything. So it will fill out a spot in your roster in one of the lower mana battles. And basically, a chicken can take a hit. And it's a hit that someone else in your team doesn't have to take. So this is the team that I put together. And if you want to pause the video and take a look, this is my summoner, Oster Rotwell. The reason I picked him is there's a shocking number of water decks being played, and his ability to give all of your creatures reflect, where it actually is very relevant in those battles. So this is my example of one starting team. And in future videos, I'll try and give you more starting teams to try out. And this particular team, I think, should do a not too bad job. So I have 56,000 collection power rented. So that should get me up into that allows me to get into silver 2. And the payouts, the DEC payouts should probably be not too bad. And you'll get the extra chests and that kind of thing. Anyway, if you have any questions or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And I hope you'll have an excellent day.